Hello, good morning. Welsh Forest Focus. The Nottingham Forest sit 8th in the Premier League after last night's 1-0 win against Crystal Palace at the City Ground, their first home win of the season. With that out of the way, we'll discuss the win in full and consider if Forest are now set for a breakout season in the company of, first of all, former Res defender Kelvin Wilson. Kelvin, good morning. How are you today?
Morning, good, thanks.
Good to have you with us as ever. Good to have you back. Emily Anderson, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yep, glad to be here.
Greg Mitchell, how are you?
I'm all right. Tired. Regretting a few decisions. But yeah,
you did
good.
tweet at like 1 a.m. or something. Where's open in town?
Oh, maybe I did get home a bit later than I thought, though. The answer was bodega.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're relatively awake. Kick us off, Greg, on just what you made of it last night in general.
We don't need to score many goals to win these days, do we? It's nervy and it makes you hang on and regret your decisions about what hobbies you have when you were a kid. But it was brilliant. Yeah, just superb. Did exactly what we needed to do. Some players just played out their skin and yeah, just loved it. Really enjoyed it. Great to see the fireworks again.
Emily, you were sat in front of the shipping container, which was an interesting vantage point, I guess. How was it for you watching on there?
Do you know what? It was nice to be in a different part of the ground. So I can now say I've sat in all 5 sides of the Forest ground. Not many people can say that. Yeah, it was a really different perspective, actually, because we were literally right on the corner flag. In fact, so much so that the corner flag slightly blocked our view. But it was nice to be somewhere different. We didn't get a very good perspective of the game as a whole, but it was great to be there. I mean, it was a huge win for us. So many positives, weren't there, from that? Clean sheet, another goal for Chris Wood, fantastic defensive performances, top half of the table, standout performances, which I'm sure we'll talk about, from Sels, Anderson, Milenkovic. I don't know about anyone else, but pre-match I was kind of a little bit apprehensive because I felt like Crystal Palace need to win at some point. It would be really Forest of us, wouldn't it, to slip up against Crystal Palace? So it wasn't a banker for me. I think I'd have pre-match taken a draw. But actually, all things considered, we were very, very deserving of all 3 points. And it's just really exciting to watch the team that's starting to really cook now. Some of the national pundits, I think, are finally starting to wake up to the fact that we're not relegation fodder. We're a serious Premier League outfit. And you could really see that last night. The game was managed just so well. And although it was very nervy in those 7 minutes of injury time, really, if I think with my brain rather than my heart, we were never going to lose that game. It was just so positive. There were so many positives, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I just left the ground feeling so happy and just like, yeah, we're here now, 3rd season in, and we're a proper Premier League team, and you know, it's just great.
Would you have been wary of Palace's opponents, Kel, before the game? Because I think they're underperforming. They're a good side, but you can also kind of see why they are struggling when we watched the game last night.
No, I think I had the conversation yesterday with quite a few fans before the game. Obviously, people talking about the game and stuff, and I was confident. I thought, to be fair, I thought it'd be a little bit more convincing. It was convincing. The performance was outstanding, but I just thought the scoreline would have been, which it could have been with the chances that we had. I know they had a few chances and stuff, but that's always going to happen at this level. But no, I did believe that was going to go and win the game. I think the performance, it looked like a top Premier League team against a bottom Premier League team, which it's turned out to be. You know, we're up there and they're down there. But what a turnaround it's been from last season. You know, the defensive record and displays are just, you know, it's like performances of a top Premier League team that was last night, and it's been pretty much throughout the season. I know we're only 9 or 10 games in, whatever it may be, but yeah, the confidence now just in the team going into every game is just always positive from me. I always think they're going to get something out of the game no matter who they play.
What's changed with the defenders' eye on it? What's changed to make them so good at the back and so solid?
They've brought in the right players. The recruitment's been brilliant. You know, I think the players that they brought in, the partnership now with the 2 centre-halves is, you know, you've got an absolute beast of a boy who's just going to go and win everything, and then you've got your ball playing centre-half. So, you know, it's a great combination. Fullbacks, absolutely dynamic, up and down, but they can defend as well. You know, that's the worry nowadays with fullbacks. They can't not saying they can't defend, but their priority is going forward. But Forest is fullback, they can defend. So I think that balance there they've got is perfect. You know, they've gone away in the summer. They've looked at everything that's been a problem for the last couple of years, and that's been mainly, not just, but mainly the back four and the goalkeeper, and they've addressed it to an absolute T.
I see we've got the second best record in the league now defensively in terms of goal conceded. I think it's the second best in terms of expected goals. And as well, I suppose a crucial thing, Calv, is we've got the best record from corners and set pieces. Suddenly we've faced 40 odd and conceded from 0. I mean, is that just down to Milenkovic, or is it coaching? What is it?
No, that's down to one player. Absolutely not. You know, yes, he's made a massive difference, and you know, he probably is vocal there, and his presence as well. You know, he's a big boy. But no, that would have been coaching. You know, they would have gone through that in pre-season. You know, I'm sure Nuno's watched many videos of last season before he was even there, and tried to pinpoint the problems. And they've done that. They've done that, and the proof's in the pudding with the stats.
At the other end, Greg, Chris Wood. I don't know. He just feels like an absolute hero. He's a hero of my fantasy team, but just a hero in general. We can just bank on him to perform, because that was an all-round performance as well, I thought, last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was sitting deep a lot of the time as well and helping out at the back, and I think that's probably another reason why we're doing so well at the back as well and not conceding from corners. Everyone's involved. He can just, when a player's in form like he is, you get the rub of the green as well, and he certainly did with the goal, didn't he? You don't shoot, you don't score, and that's exactly what he did. And it was strange when Taiwo came on, and he like not like digging at Taiwo, but he doesn't have the effect at the minute, and it's like he really needs to warm up before getting in a game. And Chris Wood, he's the automatic starter, one of the first on the team sheet now, especially in games like that, and games like Friday will be exactly the same for him. You know, all around the pitch, getting his chances and taking them. One of the form players in the Premier League. It's incredible.
Greg's right there, Emily. Like, his off the ball work. There was a point, I think it was about 70, 75 minutes in, where I think Jota blocked the ball for a throw, but Chris Wood ran about 50 yards and sprinted back to get us into that shape that we've seen, that kind of 4-2-4 type thing. And it shows that he's kind of in peak condition as well, after playing for New Zealand midweek twice as well.
Yeah, he really is. He's not just a smash and grab player. I think when we signed him, a lot of opposition fans scoffed at us, and Newcastle fans in particular were laughing. And just to see the transformation in him, particularly under Nuno, is really great to see. He's just got so much more to his game, and we saw that last night, didn't we? And I'm just so thrilled for him. And we mentioned the Leicester game. He used to play for Leicester, didn't he? So he's going to be really up for that one. And I think if he can stay fit this season, he'll be there and thereabouts up with the top Premier League strikers, because he got 14 Premier League goals for his last season. He's already got 5 in 8 appearances, and he's getting his chances. He's not taking every single chance, is he? But like last night's goal was only half a chance, really, and he took that so well. It's just really good to see. And I guess he encompasses the whole team at the moment. They all work for each other. So although Chris Wood is a striker, he still goes back to defend. And I think every single player last night knew their role. Every single player dug in. And you can really see that team spirit. So it's really good to see.
How much of a nightmare would he be to defend against, Kelvin, when he's in that form? Because he's big and strong, but also he's like a magnet for chances in the box, which shows, intelligence as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think for a striker, not just a striker, I think any player, you run off confidence. He's obviously been beaming with confidence now for a season and it may be. But yeah, he's just, everything that falls to him is he's scoring goals, and that's what strikers want to do. But I think the work rate from Chris Wood has never been an issue. I think all his career has been playing against him, and he just continued. He'll just run all day long. If his touch is bad or he's not prolific in front of goal, he's always going to work for you for that. So I don't think that's questionable from him. But what was questionable when he came was his goal record. But he's shut everyone up. I think he's answering all the critics, and he's been a breath of fresh air. I think Taiwo's going to struggle to get into the side. I think the initial was Taiwo was number 1, he was number 9, and Chris is back up. But I think that's absolutely turned on its head now. I think Chris Wood's the out and out striker for Nottingham Forest.
Just on the goal, Kelvin, as well. Obviously, Dean Henderson came under the spotlight. Would you be disappointed if you're Chalabar with that header in general?
Yeah, of course you would. You're going to analyse every part of it. You know what I mean? The build-up of it, and obviously the header. But initially, it's different phases. When it comes to the goalkeeper, you do expect him. They're there for a reason, to make saves. But he's only human. He's made a mistake, and that's what it is. Unfortunately, when you're a goalkeeper, it costs you the game if you make a mistake. So, and that's been the case. But I think if they would have got a draw, they would have seen themselves very, very lucky. They got a great result. So I don't think it's, you can just say, oh, it was a lucky goal that's won the game. No, Forest absolutely dominated the game.
Thank you very much to Steve Battle much for signing up as a member. Appreciate that, Steve. And if you're one of the 200 and almost 50 people watching, do us a favour and hit like on the video. That'd be very much appreciated. Just before we talk about other stuff, Greg, I want you to talk about Elliot Anderson. On the TV, I thought he was brilliant. What's it like in the ground watching him? Is in that number 10 role?
He's just been worth every penny, hasn't he? He was unbelievable. There's moments in games, because I'm still of the mindset of a League One Championship fan, where we play out from the back, or like right at the end of the game where it's a dangerous position and you think, oh, what are we going to do? We're passing it about. And he's just so calm. He's so quick on his feet. He's everywhere. I think he got awarded man of the match in the ground. I'm not sure about on TV, but he was one of 4 or 5 players that could have been man of the match. But his game just gets better and better. I think that was his best performance last night, and he's had multiple brilliant performances. And just what a player, what a signing, what time to get him at his age. He's just going to keep going, and hopefully we've got him for 5, 6, 7 years, because he's nowhere near his peak at the minute, and he's just superb. And I think every single Newcastle fan would have watched that last night and think, what a waste. Like, I can't believe we let him go, because he is one for the future. He's going to go on. He's going to play internationals. And he was just superb. Just love watching him. How quick his feet is in places when like a normal person should panic. And the way he just gets it out and calms the play down, just brilliant. Just love watching him.
I suppose is the biggest compliment, Emily, that I guess it's not a guarantee that Morgan comes straight back in as a number 10. I'm sure Morgan will come back into the team, obviously, because he's such a quality player. But there is an argument that you could play Morgan as a deep one and just keep Elliot playing as a 10 if you wanted to, I guess.
Yeah, he really stepped up last night, didn't he? When he filled in before against Fulham, he wasn't as happy as he seemed to be last night, and he had that chance last night to play the number 10 role, and I think he did more than enough to prove that he's not only a backup to Morgan, but he's vying for that position. And I echo what Greg says. What an exciting young player we've got on our hands. He's only 21 years old, and in the ground, like I said, I don't know how it looked on television, but on the ground, I said to my friend who I was with, he is just brilliant. He was just everywhere. Not only does he work really hard, he makes progressive passes, he's in the right place, he gets back to defend. And it's just exciting to see how this lad's going to progress, because like I say, being 21 years old, he's got so much ahead of him. And I know he's in the England under 21s at the moment, but I can very much see him being in the England lineup, in the near future, because he just seems to have so much to his game already. And aren't we lucky that we can watch him and watch his career progress, hopefully for a long time at the City ground?
Is it sometimes just a question of opportunity, Kelv? Like, he didn't really get it at Newcastle when he clearly probably was good enough to play for them. And as James says in the chat here, he probably should have played in that role against Fulham. And I think he was a bit annoyed that he didn't. He looked pissed off when he came off in that game. Did he go in with a point to prove potentially last night as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think he would have gone in with a point to prove. That's the position that he seems to want to play. Going back to Newcastle, they must be absolutely kicking themselves, for what they're trying to do with their new owners that came in and what they're trying to build. Why they let him go, I haven't got a clue. I'm guessing he would have forced himself out, a bit like Cole Palmer, I guess, at Man City. If he's not going to play, he wants to go, and that's been the case with him. And luckily enough, we got him, and he's been brilliant. But going back to Gibbs White as well, I know you say, Matt, and I've come on here many a times and raved about him and said he's a great player. But is Nuno going to be like a Gareth Southgate where he just picks players from being, you know, because you've done well for him over the years, or for a number of months in Nuno's case, or you're going to pick players off form? If you're going to go off form, I move people around just to fit people in. You know, Morgan wasn't in the best of forms this season to start. Don't get me wrong, he's not been terrible, not at all. But for his own standards, he's not been, you know, setting it alight like he does. And after that performance from Elliot Anderson, I think if he doesn't start in that 10 role in the next game, I can assure you that he'll probably be knocking on Nuno's door, you know, asking the question, why not?
What would you? I think Anderson was sold for PSR because I think Newcastle had to, but they could have. I'd have sold someone else watching him play like that. What would you do on Friday night then, Cal? If Morgan's fit and Anderson's fit, would you leave Morgan on the bench, or would you play him as an 8, or would you move Anderson round then?
No, I'd keep the same team. Me, you know, you've just won a game with not just like scrape the game. You've dominated a game. You know, absolutely dominated them. People are going to say, yeah, but it was Crystal Palace. That doesn't matter. You know, it's the Premier League game, and they dominate the game. Like I said, it looked like a top Premier League team playing a bottom Premier League team. That's how good I thought Forest were last night. You know, they kept the ball in tight areas, like Greg said. You know, no one panicked. You know, they used the ball really well. I see Marilo put his foot through the ball at times when you have to. You know, it was good decision making from all around every part of the pitch. So I'd play Anderson, especially after the performance that he had. How do you move him out of position? You know, he's just got man of the match in the ground, like Greg said. So I'd find it a bit harsh if he does. But, you know, if that's Nuno's tactics or how he wants to play in that game, because the games change every time he plays someone different tactics, different personnel, I guess. But, you know, I think after that performance, the confidence that'll be running through them players that played last night, I would personally keep the same team.
Just before we move on, a quick word for Trent Navigation. Obviously, we play Leicester on Friday. Can go 5th if we win that game, so you can watch it at the Trent Navigation on 2 big screens. Happy hour drinks 30% off, and chippy tea till 9 p.m. for just £8.50. So get down to that, and also you can get your tickets for the Rick Parfitt gig on December the 22nd, just before Christmas. Wanted to talk as well about Matz Sels, Greg. Bree Samba was watching in the stands. I don't suppose there's anything in that, to be honest, but you never know. But I don't think there was. I'm sure he'd have been impressed with Sels. Those saves at the end are the kind of saves that win matches for you, aren't they?
They did. It's how he celebrates as well. He knows his job, and just recently he's just made some world class saves. I mean, there's talk in the last game that's one of the best saves that like the experts had seen, and just brilliant. You can trust your goalkeeper, and it's, you know, Bree Samba was the last time we had that. So I'm glad he got to see what happened last night and what's in goal instead of him now. And there's always something, isn't it, when a player's in the stands like that? So I wouldn't be surprised if we're tapping him up. But Matz Sels, just the form he's in. There was talk he might be injured last night, and that was going to be a worry, of course. But to put in another performance like that, another clean sheet, again, we've got, you know, one of the form goalkeepers in the league, and he just keeps showing it. And perfect timing, because Friday's so big now, you know. Get up to 5th and just keep playing like that and keep putting the saves in. And he puts so much trust in his defence. Just brilliant. Just so nice to have that goalkeeper that we can trust there.
I get, obviously the debate is ended certainly at the moment between Sels and Miguel. Emily, would you go as far as just, you know, not even looking for a keeper in January? I know Forest were and probably always are, but is there any need to even examine changes at all now?
I would say on the last 2 performances, we don't need another keeper because we've got Miguel as backup. He'd been okay, hadn't he, since he came to us without being excellent. And I think the jury was always out as to whether he could be our number 1 and whether he's a number 1. And he, you know, he made a few ricks in certain games, which got him a lot of criticism. But I think Chelsea was his turning point game, wasn't it? That was like his breakthrough performance. And that's when it clicked. It clicked again last night. He made some fantastic saves. And I think for the first time in a long time, I feel like we've solved that goalkeeper problem for me. it's never been the same since Brice Samba left, and I forever regretted him leaving. And we've had our issues with goalkeepers. We don't need to go into that over the last couple of seasons. And I just think Sels is starting to click. He's obviously got a better defence in front of him, which makes a huge difference. But you can see the confidence in him, and it's growing and growing. And he's really starting to shine now. So for me, I'd rather save the keeper money and put maybe that money that was maybe going to be spent on a keeper into a backup striker. So no, I'm more than happy with Sels.
It's funny, isn't it, Kel? You talk about confidence and luck. Like that, when he dropped the ball against Liverpool and it goes an inch to the right side of the line. If it goes the other way, then we're probably saying his Forest career's over and he's got to go. It shows how quickly things can change. I mean, what's changed for him? Is it just confidence? Nuno as a keeper, of the coaches got into him over pre-season and given him more belief? What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely confidence. I think when you're at that level, you've got the quality. The quality's there. It's just bringing out that confidence in showing it in big moments, and he's doing that now. I think it's been a massive problem the last probably two seasons. It's been a problem, the goalkeeping situation, and they've, touch wood, so far solved it now. Don't get me wrong, playing with the back four that he's got, that will give him confidence as well. But he will also give the back four confidence, him coming for crosses and things like that, and knowing if someone's going to get a shot from 20 yards out, 18 yards out, that he's going to save it. I've played with goalkeepers where, I'm not going to name them, but you think, oh, I can't let him shoot, probably go in. So you try to block it, even though you're going to try your hardest to block it anyway. But sometimes, obviously, they do get the shots off. But yeah, I don't think they need to look for a goalkeeper unless there's an injury. Obviously, I don't think that's a problem now. I think he's still got a long way to go this season. One game can kill someone's confidence. So hopefully, he stays switched on and he keeps performing. But I agree with Emily. I think just a striker is what they need mainly in January.
One other point we've not discussed on this show or the post-match show we did last night was the lack of Nuno on the touchline. Have you played in games where the manager's been banned from the touchline, Kelv?
Yeah. I've played for Celtic. Lenny got banned quite a few times, and I think Billy as well. I think Billy got banned one game as well. It might have been a Derby game or something when we played Derby when him and Cloughie were out here. So I think he got banned a game. A little bit of difference. Yeah, it does. Especially if one of the managers, one that's always barking at the side, always shouting, and if he's not there, some players need that. Some players need that guidance through a game, or just reminding just where to be, because they might switch off. Especially your forward players, that they're a little bit more lazier than the defensive type of players, because they're the flair players. They're waiting for the ball all the time. So yeah, some players do need that manager at the side just to keep reminding them what to do. But it seemed like the assistant last night, he didn't sit down. He was always stood up, so it looked like he was doing the same thing. So obviously it didn't make any difference to the team last night. If anything, they were better, but not in a disrespectful way to Nuno.
Did you want to come in then, Greg?
It made me laugh that when you asked if you've ever played, and when he's played under Neil Lennon and Billy Davies, it's like the most obvious answer.
The two managers ever, yeah. So yeah, they've been banned a few times, especially Lenny anyway.
It was interesting as well, Greg. Like, I asked about the bans, and obviously Morgan was banned, the owner was banned from the stadium. I mean, the reports haven't been released yet about why, so I don't know if we can comment too much around them. There's a sense of injustice. Obviously, the anthem was booed massively. I could hear that on TV. Did it create a siege mentality or not? Because there was a period in the game where it seemed very quiet in the ground.
I've lost my voice, but it was quiet again. There was, towards the end of the first half, it went really, really flat, didn't it? But I thought the second half it was a lot better, and the fans realised they had a job to do. It's still not there, is it? But I think that's going to come. We're playing the best football we've played in 25 years, so it'll come. But yeah, I think the excitement of the first season or two is over now, and the City Ground's still one of the best in the country. But yeah, there was flat moments, but certainly in that second half, and when they needed us at the end, it really did step up, and it reminded me of the good times in the City Ground.
Did you go into the game with a bit of, well, I was going to say anger, but it was the bands were on Friday and we're playing on Monday. So would it dissipated a bit for you or not?
No, I think everyone was ready to vent a little bit. Look, I think the majority of like level-headed, sensible people realise that, you know, if your owner goes into the tunnel and it is, I mean, we don't know whether he was or not, but is abusive, there's going to be like repercussions. It was just the amount for every single one of them. It just seems so excessive. And yeah, we do feel a bit aggrieved, and it's right that we should be able to vent. Did someone say that they drowned out the anthem or something when Sky
Yeah,
played
possibly.
it? So,
You couldn't hear the
yeah.
music on Sky. I wonder if they turned it down.
Well, we
or
couldn't
not.
hear it, to be honest. It was loud, and who cares? You know, let's. It's nice to have a bit of a shout. That's why you go to the football, isn't it? To release a bit of anger and frustration. So if we can do it at the Premier League, whatever it is, then let's do it.
Yeah, I think my annoyance of the bans is they still haven't released the report. They said, Marinakis is banned from 5 games. We'll release the report in due course, and they still haven't released it. So we can't really, like Greg says, we can't really judge too much on the extent of the bans. It does feel really harsh, like they're throwing the book at Forest.
Is it home games or 5 straight games?
5 straight games.
Oh, that's all right. Then so he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Because his box looked good. You could see his new little. Whatever we're calling it, it looked quite good from the outside.
Well, they spent a fortune on it, and he can't use it at all. It's crazy. Do you feel, Emily, that the atmosphere will? Oh, I don't know. Do you feel the reasons are just complacency? Ticket prices have changed, and maybe it's put some people off. But why is it a bit quieter, or is it quieter? Do you think?
It definitely is quieter, and in the first half, I thought it was particularly quiet last night, and I could just about hear Greg's lot in the lower Bridgeford. But other than that, it was fairly quiet, and obviously A Block were loud as usual. But I have to say, the second half of the second half felt really loud, and it wasn't as high octane as those Man City Arsenal games. But towards the end, don't you think, Greg, the crowd did get really, really loud and behind the team, the scarves were being waved. So it was better. And I think it was, Fathers said last night, I think the problem probably so far this season is we haven't had a Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea come to the City Ground yet this season. And I think in those games where, backs are going to be against the wall, we're going to have to really 100% concentrate. The fans are going to have to be behind the team. I think hopefully the atmosphere will build for those sorts of games. But also we're now in our 3rd season as an established Premier League side. The first season we were all excited to be here and every single game felt exciting. The last season, because of VAR decisions and points deductions, again, there was that feeling of us against the world. So maybe it just feels a little bit more settled now. Even though it felt quieter than normal, it's still louder than some Premier League grounds. So I'm sure it'll get better.
I guess playing in Scotland, Calv, you kind of can feel that in the sense of when you're Celtic playing, I don't know, some random team, Kilmarnock, it's quieter than when you're playing Rangers or in the Champions League. Do you think Emily's right around the fan attitudes that it's not old hat now playing the Premier League, but playing Crystal Palace this season isn't the same as playing Crystal Palace, the first season after we come up?
Yeah. If I'm going to be totally honest, Matt, when we play them teams, we've got more fans there than the home team. When I was up in Celtic, and they were constantly loud, absolutely bonkers up there. So it was constantly loud. I think Forest fans have been brilliant. In every league that they've been in, they've always turned up. They're loud. But yeah, I think now it's the expectation. It's been 2 years. The first 2 years was obviously the fans were a 12th man. They helped the team get through games, etc. I think now the expectation is more the fans are concentrating on the game and watching the game more than making the noise. I know that sounds a little bit more stupid maybe, but I think that they're entertained by the football. They're more interested in it instead of hopeful. So I think that stops the noise a little bit, unless there's a chance or something happens that livens the crowd up. I think it's changed a little bit in that sense. But the Forest fans, the City Ground's always rocking, no matter who they're playing and when they're playing. So obviously it's quiet last night, quieter. But I think it's not a worry for me. I just think the City Ground's always bouncing. I think it's one of the best best stadiums, best grounds in the Premier League.
Last question on the game, last topic on the game I wanted to touch on briefly. It's not a negative because I don't think he's playing badly at all. I think he's just having steady 6 out of 10 games. But people are putting the spotlight on Elanga, Kelv saying Jota should start. Is Elanga way off it, or is it just he's just lacking that kind of big moment for him this season?
Yeah, I think from the standards that he set himself, that's why people have these opinions on players. If that's how he came in and that's how he's been playing, people are like, yeah, he's just steady Eddie. He goes through the motions. But, last season he was a big player for us and, scored goals and created goals for us. Obviously, he's not been up to that level for the last few weeks. Jota's come in. I rate him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. It's only healthy for the team to have these competitions, for players. If players get comfortable, sometimes it can be a bit of a bad thing because they know they're not going to get dropped. Going back to Gareth Southgate, being loyal to players, just picking players because they've done it for him 3 Euros ago, whatever it's been, and still picking them. I don't think you should get into that mentality as a manager. Not that I've been one, but it's just my opinion looking in from the outside. I think players on form, and that keeps everyone on their toes and wanting to perform more than they're not going to play.
I mean, Jota again, Emily, he did a lot of good work right in front of where you were. He won corners off Gahey late in the game, and obviously he's got quality as well. Would he start for you on Friday now, or would you still stick with Elanga?
Oh, God, it's a real tough one, isn't it? Because I feel like Elanga, as Kelvin said, he's not necessarily had the best start to the season, and he did struggle last night. But we know there's a player in there, and like you say, it wasn't awful last night. It just wasn't what we know he can do. Jota, on the other hand, when he came on, and every time he comes on, that passion, that tenacity, the raw energy in that lad is brilliant. And yeah, he was. We got a corner towards the end of the game, right where I was sat. And he was shouting at the lino, basically saying, it's our ball. And I just love that passion in him. My only worry with Jota is, has he got discipline to start a game? Because in the first half, and particularly on Friday, it's going to be edgy, it's going to be tight, and everyone needs to be really, really disciplined. And my only worry is, has he got that in him to start? But I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm massively sitting on the fence here because I don't know who I'd pick out of Jota or Elanga to start. I don't know if anyone else has got any strong opinions, but I just can't. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Elanga's more of a safe pair of hands, whereas Jota will bring that flair and creativity.
I just think with Jota, I agree with you there, Emily, that he's got the passion. The passion's great, but I think in a team like Forest, you've got to control that. You can't have a player just playing off that because you need him to keep his position. You need him to stick to his job. Sometimes I think a lot of fans watch and, if Jota's running around like a burst balloon trying to get the ball off everyone, it looks great. It looks great to fans like, oh my God, he's working. But it could kill you as a team because he's out of position. So sometimes you just think, a little bit and keep your position. But I agree with you, his passion. I think that's the thing with him. He's got the passion, but he's also got the quality. For a moment last night, I forgot Elanga was playing. I remember the ball going, oh God, yeah, he's playing. So it's the toss of a coin. I think who's going to start out of them two. But other than that, I think I would personally keep the same team. But obviously, Isn't
it great though that we have all these options? The fact that we're arguing over whether a Jota or an Elanga should start, I just think that shows exactly where we are, doesn't it? And I think you talk about Jota being like a burst balloon, which I think is a brilliant image, isn't it? He's like that excitable puppy that you just need to train. And I think he just needs a bit more discipline, a bit more training. So, yeah, I think maybe it is Elanga edges it for me.
Could Elanga, I mean, I always think, like, when Brennan was going through a rough patch of form, I was like, just keep playing him, we'll get back into form. But I suppose, Kelv, could Elanga benefit from a game on the bench where he's coming on with 20 minutes to go, where against Leicester, the game's going to be a bit broken up, they're not going to sit as deep? Could it be a way to get him back into form as well?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, that's an option. Right? Yeah, definitely. I think with forward players, you've got that luxury of doing, because, when subs are made, it's mainly forward players that come on. It's very rare that you change a back four. It's different for a defender. If you drop a defender, the confidence can be crushed because you probably know you're not going to play for the next 4 or 5 games until there's an injury or there's a bad result. But as a forward, you know, it's like Anderson last night. He was brilliant, but he got subbed off. That's what happens to forward players. You know, it's just the way it happens. But yeah, he could do well. You know, bringing him off, starting on the bench and bringing him on later on, especially with his legs and stuff. When players get tired, that could give him some confidence. But you know, that's not saying that he's a bad player. He's not. He's just obviously the standard set himself from when coming to Forest. He's just not reached them this season yet. But like he's not been a 3-4 out of 10. Like you say, he's been a 6/7. Which, you know, when Forest are in form and most of their players are now hitting that 8s and 9s every week, you know, he's got to keep up with it.
Yeah, like Pete said last night, if Sosa was playing as well as Jota, we'd probably be looking at Hudson-Odoi. Elanga's got Jota breathing down his neck, and it puts a bit more of a spotlight on him, I think. What about you, Greg? Just quickly, casting vote, Jota or Elanga?
I think Jota will start on Friday either way. I just think there was some knocks last night as well, which opens up more space as Hudson-Odoi limps off, doesn't he? And I like his unpredictability, and I know that's just me as an excitable fan, but I loved him last night. I did. He makes me smile watching him play, and that's the kind of player I want to see in the Forest team. So it's a great position to be in, because Elanga's 6 out of 10 is you know, what we would have had a few years ago, 9 out of 10. So I have no qualms with whatever that team sheet is on Friday. I think it'll be a good team, and we'll go, yeah, I like that. That's good. So it'll be interesting. But it's just so nice to have the options now when a player does limp off, and you think, right, we can have this one. And going all the way back to Gibbs White, someone said in the pub last night, I know he doesn't miss many games, but they thought, and it will need checking, that it was the first time we'd won without him playing since he signed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's the 8th game or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, it just shows we're developing as a squad, and it's a squad game, isn't it? And that's the type of thing that's going to get us up this league. So I'm just excited for Friday, and it really doesn't matter who starts because they're all so capable.
It's talking of excitable fans then. The thing I put in the thumbnail was, is this a breakout season for us? We're almost 10 games in. How excited are you, Greg, in terms of where we can finish now?
It's all on the Emily Anderson derby on Friday, isn't it? If we win that and we're sitting 5th for the weekend, I'll start dreaming and I'll start being a little bit more annoying. But yeah, I just think we've got a 10-point gap now from the bottom 3, and we're still going to be looking at that. You know, until you're safe, it's just where we are. We're 3 seasons in. We've just surpassed Derby's 11 points, which is always the first milestone of the season and makes me smile. So, you know, doing that this early on is also a good achievement. So let's just keep going. We always keep saying, oh, we'll see how we are. We'll see how we are after the Liverpool game will show us where we are. Then the Brighton game. And now I think 10 games is a reasonable time to start saying this is the type of team we are, quarter of the way through the season or what have you. And yeah, we're after that top half finish this season.
Yeah, you can see what kind of team we are, Emily. We know how we're going to go into pretty much every game now. We know how we're going to play. So how ambitious or excited are you about, you know, the next however many months it is, 6 or 7 months?
Really, really excited. And I definitely need to upgrade my prediction of us finishing 14th in the league.
So you're going to say passport?
No, not quite yet. I think a top half finish would be absolutely fantastic. And I'd still say anything 12th and above, I'd be delighted with for Forest. We're cooking. We've got an incredible spine through the team now, haven't we? From Matz Sels through to that solid defence. A midfield where we've got so many injuries, haven't we? So, you know, Danilo's out, Sangare's out. Ward-Prowse was not available last night through suspension. We've not even mentioned him. We've barely mentioned Morgan Gibbs-White. So we've still got those backups in midfield that can do a job. Chris Wood's an incredible form, the form of his life. So that spine is working its way beautifully. The team spirit seems to be up there with levels I've not seen in a long time at Forest. It's a very together group. There's so much to be excited about, but still in the back of my head, I still think I'm still got my eye on how far away are we from relegation? It's 10 points at the moment. Long may that gap continue, and let's make the gap even further and further. Friday night is terrifying for me for all sorts of reasons, which I'm sure we'll go into. But if we can get something out of that game, I will be a very happy lady.
415 people watching, which is lovely, especially so soon after we did another show last night. Stephen asks about Chris Wood's celebration. Yeah, he said on Sky afterwards that his wife's pregnant, so congratulations to both of them. We're having this conversation as fans then, Kel, you know, Greg's dreaming of Europe and, you know, trips to Bratislava or wherever. What about internally in the dressing room? Are those dangerous conversations, or did they happen?
No, definitely not yet anyway. Not this soon on. I don't think anyone in that dressing room will be looking at the table thinking, "Oh yeah, we the top half or in the top 6 or whatever it may be." But yeah, it will gain them confidence without a doubt. You know, you do know when you're on a good run, and it gains confidence, and you're just ticking off games and looking at the next game and thinking, there's nothing better than going into a game knowing that you're going to win. Or thinking it anyway. Obviously, you don't know, but you're very strong, confident that you're gonna win the game. Because when you're on a bad result and you're looking at games, you are like thinking, "Oh God, how are we gonna get this?" But I just think the strength and depth in the Forest squad is it's probably the best I've ever seen. I think, you know, Emily just mentioned how many injuries we've got in midfield. But then the midfielders that played last night were perfectly fine. It's not even Yates. You know, Yates is stepping. You know, he's been brilliant. Ryan Yates has in what he does and what he's bringing to the team. So I just think that the only way is up. I can't see Forest finishing in the bottom half of the table. Europe, I don't know, Greg. I don't know if it's too soon for that, but if they did, I wouldn't be a surprise to a lot of people. Like, wow, you know, if they finished in that top 6, top 8, whatever it may be to get in Europe, I'd be like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. But I think, you know, without getting carried away, if they finished in the top half, that would be an absolute unbelievable season.
Yeah, like Steve says in the comments, we probably need to score more goals, but I think they'll come because we did create enough big chances last night. You know, on another night, Chris Wood gets 2 or 3 goals, and I still think he had a top game. So yeah, very exciting, certainly. There's a comment here from Craig, if I can find it. Oh yeah, fully expects to get 3 points on Friday, Kel. That Leicester game is quite interesting because obviously there's, you know, the proximity between the two clubs, but they have won their last 2. I'm still convinced they're not a great side because they just grind out results, Steve Cooper's style. But what are your early thoughts on that game?
I think Forest will win the game. I think, I don't know, this is a big step. I think Leicester will get relegated. I don't think that I'm with you. I don't think they're a great side at all. They've grinded out them last 2 wins. What they've got, it's been. I hate using the word luck in football. I think being an ex-player, you have to work hard to get what you've got. But I just feel they have been lucky. I don't think they're a great side. I think they're kind of with Crystal Palace. To be fair, I don't think Palace are a great side. I think they've. I know I'm going off the subject a little bit. I think Palace have got too many players that you can see that want away. Yeah, Gay. I think they want away. You know, you could see that in the performances. But I think Leicester, I don't think the quality will beat Forest. I don't know if the occasion, if it goes wrong or we don't get a result, it might be the occasion. You know, Steve Cooper's obviously going to get his players up for it for obviously being an ex-Forest manager and obviously getting the sack, etc. And now he's at a club that's rivals to Forest. So whether the occasion becomes a little bit big for the players, which I can't see it, you know, it is a local derby as such. But I don't think the quality will beat Forest, no.
I was looking at, obviously, Emily, they beat Southampton 3-2. I just think Southampton are awful. I don't know how much they take from that. And statistically, they have like the worst attack in the league. They create the fewest chances. They've got one of the worst defences in the league. So I do think it'll be a really tight game because I think Cooper's going to set them up to make it a really tight game. Obviously, your fiance sees a lot of Leicester. You see a lot of Leicester. How are you feeling about it?
I just want to get it out of the way, if I'm completely honest, for marital relations. But pre-match last night, my other half came out into Nottingham and had a drink and some food with us. And he said, I really hope Crystal Palace win tonight, because that will make it more tasty on Friday, because we could go above you in the table if we beat you. So I'm thrilled that now can't happen. Obviously, the Steve Cooper effect is going to make it even more tasty. Do you know I think they're one of only 2 teams to have scored in every Premier League game this season. So hopefully we can end that little run for them. I think if I wasn't thinking with my heart and thinking with my head, on paper we're a better team, and we should get something, if not all 3 points out of that game. My only worry is, like Kelvin said, will the occasion get to the players? Possibly not, actually, because they're not going to have that same affiliation that maybe some fans have got with the fixture. We haven't won at the King Power for years, have we? More than 10 years, I think. But then we probably haven't played Leicester too many times over that time. I just think it's one of those games for me. Hopefully we can get something out of it. But if we're matching up Nuno against Cooper, I'd like to think Nuno will come out on top.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really tight game, but with the carrot of going 5th, Greg, as well. Like, there's loads of motivation there for the players, even beyond, the local bragging rights, if that's a big thing. What do you think?
Yeah, that jumping up the league before the weekends is just a huge thing. And the local bragging rights is a weird one, because, like, I grew up right on the Leicestershire border, so I get it. Some of my best mates are Leicester fans, and obviously Emily does, but you stand with people in the ground who live like north of the river, and they couldn't care about Leicester one bit. It's just a normal fixture with obvious huge implications of how high we can get. So I think they treat it a little bit different to what we do. I'm sure they'll be seeing it as their biggest game of the season, when the big city comes to visit. But I don't know. I just think get that result. It doesn't matter who we were playing on Friday. It's all about where we can be in the league.
Just before we start wrapping up, thank you very much to Global Telemetrics for their support as ever. Last weekend, it says we took down, in my notes here, I assume with the help of the police, took down 2 chop shops, one in London, one in Yorkshire. 13 vehicles recovered in total, including 2 motorhomes pictured there and a Ferrari, and that was all within 10 minutes of them being reported. So scan the QR code on your screen for more, or go to the link in the description. Thank you very much for Global Telemetrics for their support. I would have put the picture of the Ferrari in myself rather than the motorhomes, but I think it all works, because they're obviously doing a good job in getting those vehicles back. So thank you very much to them. Right, just before we wrap up with our final thoughts, I wanted to ask Kel just about some Premier League incidents quickly. Kind of lightning round thing, just to get his thoughts on them from the weekend from a centre-halves point of view. 2 very similar incidents, Cal, involving Saliba's red card and then Tosin Adarabioyo in the Liverpool-Chelsea game. One got sent off, one got a yellow. Were they right decision, wrong decision in each case from a defender's point of view?
I think the Saliba one was... It's harsh. Yes, he is last man, but it's so far out. It's one of them ones where he's a quick player, so you think he'll be able to get back anyway. But then if he's tripped him up, his last man. So it's the only argument that he's got that he's so far out. It's just on the halfway line, just over the halfway line. But he is the last man, unfortunately. So you do look at that and think, I'm one of them. If I'd have got a yellow, I don't think I would have gone, that's a red. He's got a red, and you're like, if you'd have got a yellow, I wouldn't have been too bad. So it's 50-50, I think that one was. I don't think the ref would have got hammered. Either way, he would have gone. He sent him off. I don't think he's been hammered. I don't think people have got on the ref's back. I think if he'd have gave him a yellow, I don't think he would. I think it would have just been a discussion like we're having.
The other one, Man City v Wolves, stoned his late header. Gary O'Neill's going mad about it. And you can understand why out of frustration that his team's played so well and then lost. But should that goal have stood or been disallowed?
I think disallowed as well. Yeah, I agree with him. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Forest fan. I think I'm in belief treatment the top to the lower teams. I think it stands out like a sore thumb nowadays. It's so bad for the level that they're at. It's the Premier League, and they get the rub of the green all the time. and that was the case in that situation again.
One good note from last night, Greg, as well. Like, we were battering refs, we're discussing refs there. The ref was decent last night. It was nice not to be on here discussing some mad controversy, but he did do a good job, to be fair, didn't he?
He was all right. I mean,
I think you view refs differently in the ground and on TV, actually, because when I'm in the ground, any bad decision a ref makes feels amplified. If it's on TV and you see a replay, you can often think, "Oh yeah, okay, sorry."
Yeah. What got me was do you know when a player like Ryan Yates has such a skill in winning fouls, and at the start of the game he clearly wasn't getting it? And like, do the refs have a little chat beforehand and say they must do like what, Jim? So yeah, it was nice not to have to talk about the refs. I know we are, ironically, now, but yeah, he did all right. I think they've cottoned on to Ryan Yates a little bit more, so he might have to be a little bit more careful. But just quickly on him, he was superb again, and I loved the way that he wound up the Palace fans. I don't know whether you saw that, but just classic Ryan Yates in his role that he clearly loves, and being a Forest hero and a villain to the rest of them.
Do watch the interview with Ryan Yates if you haven't already, or listened to it, of course. It was really good on Friday night. Really enjoyed doing that. Do refs, Kelv, ever, I don't know, I guess they do chat amongst themselves. Do they ever have a word with a player before a game and say, "Look, I know what you like," or anything like that? I suppose they shouldn't, but do they?
No, they don't really say that before the game. I just throughout the game, if you're constantly on them, they do say stuff that probably fans don't hear and the TV don't pick up. You know, I've had things with referees in the past, and you know, I'll be like, yeah, they have a bit of banter as well, but they do give it back. Don't think that they take a lot of abuse from players. I don't know about now because the cameras are really bad and the VAR and the replays, but I've had a few referees say a few naughty things to me as well in the past, so they're not innocent.
What's the best kind of ref to play within a game? One who'll chat to you, not give it back, but one who'll chat and engage with you, or one who just gets about their business, doesn't really say anything, and you don't care if they're just making the right decisions?
Yeah, one that chats to you and gets back to you, and is just, that can communicate with you. You know, I remember when I was at Forest and we're playing the Championship, and then a Premier League referee would come down and referee the game for maybe a game, and they were so arrogant, it was unreal. Like really, really arrogant, where they didn't want to give you the time of day and telling you to go away and don't talk to me, and you could see the difference. It was massive. So there are some referees who are really, really arrogant, but there's some that will speak to you. They'll make a bad decision and they'll say, "Yeah, I think I got that one wrong, but I can't do anything about it now." So yeah, refs that communicate are definitely. If you're being ignored just as a person, you know, by someone who you're trying to talk to, that will get you back up. So never mind in a heated moment of playing football where a decision goes against you. If a referee ignores you, it's going to only wind you up even more.
If you have enjoyed this, sorry, my kids were yakking in the background. Let's not shout at them then. If you have enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like on the video, do subscribe, you can become a channel member and get early access to video interviews, and do give us a lovely review on iTunes or Spotify. Anything you want to add? Any other business, Emily Anderson?
No, just honourable mentions, I think, to Yates we've mentioned, but Dominguez I thought had a great game last night. Aina as well is always solid. So I think the whole team played really well. But yeah, just finally, with regards to Friday, we're now in a position where we can really see out those tight games. We had an awful habit for the last few seasons of maybe not being 100% focused towards the end of the game and either losing it late on or a late equaliser against us. So I feel like defensively we are so solid now. So we just need to go in with all that confidence, and hopefully it won't be as tight as we fear it will be on Friday, and we can get 3 points and climb up that table.
Yeah, Dominguez was decent last night. Like, just energy and getting around the pitch. It was good to see him get, I think he got 90. Good to see him get 90 for once as well. Greg, anything you want to add?
Yeah, before the game, I met up with a lad called Rob Adcock, brilliant guy. Came to the NAF because of all your shout outs and was interested about the pizza. But he does some brilliant football content on Instagram. I'll put a link up to his thing, some real feel good football content. So it was good to chat to him. And that was it, really. Just a brilliant day, wasn't it? Got the result, got the fireworks from Evers, and roll on Friday.
Roll on Friday. Anything you want to add, Kel, before we go?
No, just the fans that do go to the game Friday, make that noise to help the team, because they'll need it. As Greg said, it's not a local derby to everyone, but in that game, I think Leicester definitely going to make it feel like a local derby. So fans get on board and make some noise behind the team, and I have full confidence that they'll get a result.
Oh yeah, Leicester will be absolutely desperate to win this one. As someone who lives that way, so yeah, Kel's right, definitely. Thank you very much, everyone who's joined us today. Back tomorrow with Seb Hutchinson, who commentated on the game last night for Sky. Always good to speak to him, get a neutral point of view on where we're at. And then Thursday match preview, Friday, maybe an opposition preview, but certainly a post-match show. So lots coming up this week. So thank you very much for joining us. Do hit like on this video. Greg Mitchell, thank you very much.
I'm off to get some paracetamol and a coffee, I think.
How much sleep did you get last night? Do you wear a Fitbit? You bet you don't know or anything like that, do you?
No,
About 3 hours?
Yeah, enough. Laura's gone to Manchester for the day now as well. We've got the week off together, and she's gone off to Manchester. Oh, I should say it's for her dad's birthday, so happy birthday, Les.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, or Peanut, as he's known from his Old Forest boys. But yeah, many happy returns to him.
So you've got a week off together and she's gone on her own?
Yeah, she's gone to Manchester and I'm going to Manchester for a gig tomorrow. So I don't know whether she's joining me or not.
Okay, very good. Emily Anderson, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I forgot to mention my socks. Did anyone else wear their lucky new Forest socks to the game last night? Because I did, Emma did, and I know quite a few people did in the comments. So I think we just need to wear them for every game. They clearly worked a treat last night. So big up my socks.
Forest socks?
Yeah, when you get Forest membership, when
yeah.
you renew your membership, you get a lovely little gift of socks, a pen, a little pin badge, and some coasters, I think. So the socks came out last night, and I was worried because when you wear something new to a match, it can often be bad luck. Well, it is in my book. So I was going to take one for the team last night, but it turns out they're lucky. So they're going to have to be worn at every game.
Kelvin, thank you very much. But also, did you have any pre-match superstitions and rituals now I think about it?
No, I didn't. No, not really. No, no. Just go out and play. Just hope we won. That was all.
Good. Right, good to have everyone with us this morning. Have a good day, and if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.